let me flip over to the one that I finished. And I am not going to go through all the steps that I did. I just want to show you a couple of things that I decided I was going to do when I made the design, and kind of how I finished it off. So I wanted the birdhouse to look really woodsy, and I got a piece of the designer series paper, and I actually stamped the birdhouse onto that piece of designer series paper. It's on the one that has the blue. And I just like that. I just think it's really fun. I also die cut this. So this is using the die that goes along with that stamp. And when you're putting together a piece that you're going to, have a sort of a 3D element, I always like to have a piece of cardstock behind the first layer. The designer series paper isn't super heavy to begin with, and this is going to give me just a little bit more strength to the piece that I'm going to be putting on the page, on the frame. So I'm just going to show you a couple of things that I did with this. So I did put these two pieces together. It's also nice if you're doing a design where you use designer series paper and maybe you don't want the back design to show, you just want the front. Cut out a piece of white cardstock or another color and put it on the back, and you're all good. Now remember how I told you to save the pieces that you cut out initially in the corners? Well, that's what I used when I die cut the other pieces for the birdhouse. I just decided, I don't care if these have score lines. In my opinion, when you look at wood, and if wood is dinged up and all that, it looks so much more realistic. So I used these pieces, and I cut a couple of the dies using the dies that are in the set. And you know where I'm going. You do need to be a little mindful when you're putting this together as far as the order that you're going to do things. So for example, if you're going to use this piece that has the little scallops in it, and you're going to use the little trim piece, you need to do the scallop piece first, because it's actually wider. It's going to take up both that little strip and the scallop strip. I use reverse tweezers when I'm doing anything like this, because I can hold with my right hand, get things positioned, and then when I put the piece on, it's just that much easier, and I've got that much more control. I also cut out this little piece, this little trim piece, and I'm sure you know this, but I'm going to say it anyway. If you have a small piece like this that is super, super thin, and you are putting a bit of glue on it, I always take that piece and I'll just kind of tap off the glue, because I don't want the glue to ooze out, technical word, when I am all done. And if I can get some of that excess off, I'm going to have a little bit better prayer that I won't get glue where I don't want it to be. And you can see that by using those tweezers, I do have a little bit of a better chance of getting the piece where I want it to go. And then I'm going to add the top of the birdhouse. So I just thought this was really cute with a lot of different kind of organic pieces on the top. I'm not going to finish this all off because I want to really talk about how I layered. And of course I'm not getting this exactly where I want it right now, but that's okay. There we go. There we go. Okay. So this piece will go up on the top and just be another element of wood. And then there's so many fun pieces that come with the dies. These are also cut out of the extra pieces of designer series paper that I used to make the frame. So nothing went to waste. And since we all love using paper in a very good way, it's nice when you don't have to waste anything. All right, I got glue on my hand. For the bottom, again, I used a piece that was from the corner. And then the most fun part that I had in putting this together was deciding what colors I was going to add to the birdhouse. And you can see that it's definitely a three-dimensional piece. So I love the new basic beige cardstock. It's awesome. And I decided to stamp a couple of the little flowers, and I die cut those. These are stamped in Early Espresso. And then what this does for me is it gives a platform for me to attach more of the flowers. So for example, when I built the birdhouse here, I had the wood piece on the bottom. I actually glued this piece almost exactly like that, and then I can take some of the die cut flowers from this set and I can put them right on the top, and it covers up this little piece, but it gives me a great place to put glue and to make sure that I can still have a three-dimensional. Now, one little tip is when you're using a lot of the dies, when I was cutting the flowers, I used these 4. So these 4, and I've got a box full of the flowers that I cut out. When I do that, I don't just put one of them on a piece of cardstock to run through the die cutting machine. You can see I lined up all 4, and I put a piece of washi tape across those 4 dies. Ran it through the die cutting machine, pulled them off. Put it on the paper again and pulled them off. It's just so much easier than doing one at a time. The other thing I wanted to point out, and this is kind of the last tip that I have, is when you're building a design like this, you can see, for example, there are flowers in the background. They're right on the frame, right on the back of the frame. And then this piece is raised by dimensionals. Well, in order to do that, for example, I put all my little flowers together, and I would just place them on the back of the frame, and then I would take the frame and hold it and figure out where it was that I needed to have that flower in the background, and then I would go ahead and just attach the flower to the back. And I did that for both of these colors. These are the in colors. I love all of the in colors, every stinking one of them. And you can see that when you put everything together, I'm kind of mimicking what I did on the other, that you're going to end up with just some beautiful, beautiful flowers that work really, really well. You can also take this piece and tuck it up underneath in the back, and I did that on the right hand side. It gave me that real organic look of the 2 flowers on the basic beige, and then adding the pop of color all the way around. In order to get the dimension on the piece on the middle, believe it or not, this is 4 layers of dimensionals, just one on top of the other, and very, very simple to do. So I hope, despite my lighting challenges, that you have been inspired and you will try to put one of these together. They really are very straightforward. Here's another one that I did in another piece of cardstock. And then I want to show you that it is a versatile kind of design, because you can also make them different sizes. This is in Blackberry Bliss, and this is a size that allows you to have 4 1/4 by 3 1/4 in the middle. And this is the actual project that I made initially that gave me just the inspiration to kind of do something a little bit bigger. This is using a Memory and More card. But I hope you've enjoyed this, and I really hope that you will give it a shot. Post what you make, because I would love to see it. And I will definitely take pictures of the templates that I shared, and I will put them in